Midweek, here we are getting ready for the college basketball Final Four. It is UConn and Illinois, followed by Arizona and Michigan. Somebody gets crowned a national champion on Monday night in the Circle City, and we are all about it on college basketball coast to coast. I'm the somewhat capable host, TJ Rives. I've got Jason Powers, my wingman, back with me in the Tampa Bay area. The man keeps answering my text message, my email, etc. I'm like, "Are you available?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm available." The Rays may be playing an afternoon game, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. He's got the Rays hat on as we do this live for the video audience. Midweek here on a Wednesday, getting ready for these two semifinal games on Saturday. Jason, how are you? This is like the lull. This is the calm before the mayhem. How are things?
Things are okay. I had a little car problem I had to take care of early yesterday, today, but that's taken care of. Now the build up to Saturday afternoon finally is getting here. We got some coaching news.
Yeah.
And speculation. Got some officiating gate. Your boy Roger Ayers involved. So lots to talk about here midweek.
Yes, you had your own version of March Madness with the vehicle, but I'm good that you have solved it. You have survived, and you have advanced here to the program today. Okay,
I need an NIL deal to pay for the repair.
You do. You probably do. All right. I want to tell you that coming up, our insider Adam Zagoria is with us, and you're going to love this. I just talked to him a little while ago as we do this live while at John F. Kennedy Airport in New York, trying to make his way to Indianapolis. I've been trying all afternoon on how can I get a hold of him and where. He's like, I'm on the train in New Jersey trying to get to JFK to take the flight. So we made it happen. And I have something special that I'm not going to tip. I'm not going to ruin. We're going to talk to him about the Final Four matchups. We're going to talk to him about the coaching carousel. But Adam is occupying himself at the airport as a memorabilia collector. So stand by. There's a tease for his conversation with me, and it relates to him being at John F. Kennedy Airport. Stand by for this coming up. Look forward to it. Okay, to you. Here we go with UConn and Illinois arriving here probably in about 24 hours or so to begin workouts and get ready to play. Same thing with Arizona and Michigan. We've had some time to digest the weekend. Give me an opening thought or two here midweek before we head to the Final Four.
Remember, these two teams played UConn, Illinois earlier in November, and UConn won by, I think, 13, 74, 61. I did a little search on that. So they know each other a little bit. Obviously, different teams from 4 months ago, but they do have some familiarity with each other. Obviously, we will see what the status is. Obviously, Silas Demery not fully healthy with his foot injury. We'll see how much that affects. But for me, the depth of Illinois, I think, is going to be a problem for UConn. I think UConn, everybody's all over UConn with the dramatic win on Sunday. But don't sleep on this Illinois team. This Illinois team is legit. And I saw them at their low point when they blew 33-10 at Pauley Pavilion, and we thought this team can't play any defense. Boy, have they played some defense these last four games in the tournament. They're very impressive on the defensive end. We know the offensive firepower with Wagler and all the size they have, Stojakovic and company. So don't sleep on this Illinois team.
Interesting when you go back to that game, and we'll have some time to bring this up again on the weekend. By the way, I'll mention for the first of several times probably before we're done here, we'll be live at 2 Eastern time all 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, in advance of the semifinal Saturday, in advance of the championship game on Monday night, live 2 Eastern time, right here on the college basketball coast to coast platforms, on YouTube, on Twitter X, on Facebook, as well as podcast. Shortly after the fact, we'll be up on Pod, as well as the TuneIn streaming channel. So there's multiple ways to hear the show in addition to seeing the show. So if you're hearing us right now on the Pod or on the TuneIn streaming channel, College Basketball Coast to Coast, just know that we're a video show as well. Come find the YouTube page. Find us on Twitter X at CBB Coast to Coast with the number 2, CBB Coast to Coast, and also on Facebook. So we'll be doing this live this weekend. Interesting that when you go back to that game in late November, the Jimmy V Classic that they played, Keaton Wagler, the outstanding freshman, basically didn't play very much, didn't do very much. He only had 3 shot attempts the entire game, only scored 3 points. Terrace Reed was battling an ankle injury at that point, played about 14, 15 minutes, and he only had 4 or 5 points in the game. there are a few guarantees in life: death, taxes, Powers at the free throw line. I can assure you Keaton Wagler's getting more than 3 points in a game, and Terrace Reed is going to get more than 4 points or 5 points in a game. I think those are guarantees coming. But that's just interesting when you go back to that previous game. A lot has changed in a few months, Jason.
Absolutely. Again, this Illinois team we thought was going to be pretty good. They ended up finishing fourth or fifth in the Big Ten, so they weren't top 2 or 3 seed. But you and I both thought they were a dangerous team in that region with Florida. Even though Florida and Houston were there, we thought that with their size and which just the quality of play and their experience, their age experience, because most of these European guys are not 18 years old. I mean, the one young kid is Wagler, and when Wagler has come out of nowhere, he's kind of been the biggest unknown freshman recruit that we've seen in a while. Remember, he scored 46 in a game earlier this year. So, I mean, and again, Underwood's done a really good job intermixing him with all the other guys to where Wagler doesn't have to score 30 for them to win. He can be a bit player if he needs to, but he also has the ability he can go off for 25 or 30 if he's feeling it that night.
All right. Arizona and Michigan will also be there. I'm going to ask Adam about this when we go to the conversation, but you can go ahead and answer first. There are many saying this is the de facto championship game, the second of the 2 semifinals, that whoever wins is going to beat Illinois or UConn. Do you rubber stamp it as such? What do you say?
I'm never going to say that in a one-game scenario. They will be clearly the favorite going into Monday night, whoever wins the game, and probably just from a point spread perspective, I would guess probably minimum 6 points on Monday night, no matter who wins the other half, would be my guess. But no, I mean, in a one-game scenario, especially if it's Michigan, Illinois, where they know each other, they played a couple times already, I would definitely not say it's a foregone conclusion. And again, this is one of the better semifinal matchups we've seen in a while with teams that most people in the country think are 2 of the best 3, if not the 2 best teams in America.
And of course, we keep making mention of this because it'll get brought up over and over and over again. Michigan back in the Final Four for the first time since 2018. They lost the title game to Villanova that year in San Antonio. Also in the championship game, 2013, lost to Louisville in Atlanta. Michigan has not won a national championship in basketball since 1989. Steve Fisher as the interim coach, Glenn Rice, Ramil Robinson with the free throws in the overtime to win in Seattle over Seton Hall, 1989, nearly 40 years ago. As for Arizona, they haven't been in the Final Four themselves since 2001. They haven't won the title since 97. So we've had a couple of long droughts for these programs, and even for the Big Ten. Big Ten hasn't had a title winner since Michigan State 2000. Western team in the Final Four, no Arizona, no UCLA, no Gonzaga, doesn't have a title since last century, and Arizona's title win. One of them gets the chance to go for it as well, obviously.
Hard to believe, especially the West Coast teams. I mean, is that stat west of the Mississippi River? Is that the
I would say Mountain Pacific time zone. Yes, would be the distinction. Out west. I mean, it's been dry for a while.
And we've seen UCLA had their moments with Ben Howland and obviously
correct.
To some final
Gonzaga was in the championship game in Indianapolis in 2021, losing to Baylor in the championship game. They were also in the championship game with North Carolina in 2017.
Yep.
But Arizona hasn't even been in the Final Four since George Bush had barely become the president. He got inaugurated in January of 2001, and then they played the Final Four in August or in April of 2001 in Minneapolis. It's been a long time, and the weight of that, the figurative weight of that, is around Arizona, and to an extent, it's around Michigan. They're going to hear for the next 2 or 3 days. Big Ten hasn't done this. Big Ten hasn't won it.
Yeah, that's right. And in Illinois, the one thing I really like about Arizona, as in compared to years past, they've always had the moniker and the kind of the reputation of being soft, finesse, West Coast, up and down, don't play much defense, not tough. This team is tough. This team is physical. They're not afraid to dump it in the low post. They don't want to shoot many threes. If they had their druthers, they would dump it in the low post and shoot a zillion 2-point shots all day long and get to the free throw line. So a little bit of a different type of style of play for Tommy Lloyd and this Arizona team.
I love it. I love Jason's insight. I also love the insight of Adam Zagoria. Why don't we do this? It's a fun interview coming up with him from the airport. Uh, Gates 37A, I think, maybe at JFK with all
How's
the fun.
TSA? How is
He's
TSA?
about to tell you how all of
Okay.
that went this afternoon in New
Okay.
York. So let's go to a conversation a little earlier in the afternoon as Adam from NJ.com, our insider, helps preview the Final Four. We talk some about the coaching search for North Carolina and the mayhem that could set off. All of those subjects and more right now as we roll on. All right, the effort being made is phenomenal here from Adam Zagoria. It doesn't matter how, it just matters did you. You're on the way to Indianapolis, and you have found a quiet area at the airport, literally, to jump on with me midweek on college basketball coast to coast. There are many reasons I love you, but I love you for that. That is outstanding. How are things midweek here?
Well, I got to JFK 4 hours early because I was a little afraid of the lines, and it actually really wasn't that bad. I got through pretty easy. And then
what is easy relative to 4 hour wait or 3 hour wait? Was it like an hour? Was it a half hour on the security?
I'll say it was like 20 minutes on the line.
Okay. Relative. That was good.
I found a dispensary that sells Topps baseball cards at Kennedy. So I was pretty excited about that.
Okay. So Adam is going to be opening a pack of the baseball cards in a minute live on the interview that we're doing, with the understanding this is a video show, but it will also be a podcast later on. It will also be on the TuneIn audio channel. So I'll have to do a little play-by-play of you opening the cards when we do that. We have to do that. You're a big collector. I collect baseball cards, or at least I did. So we'll go over that. Hey, why don't we talk college basketball for a minute? I have not had the chance to commiserate with you after the mayhem you witnessed at the end of the East Regional Final, UConn 73, Duke 72. It is now 3 days after. Are we still contemplating how did that happen at the end of that game? What say you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for about 30 years, and you see a lot of things. We've all seen a lot of things, and it's rarely that you're just kind of at a loss for words and stunned. But that whole play was so remarkable. The Chris Jenkins shot, I was there for that, but that was an offensive play that Villanova had worked on and practiced. And I get that Braylon Mullins has shot a lot of long distance shots and 35 footers in his day, but this was like off of a steal. We'll let that go.
They're not calling your flight, which is good. This is the reason why we love Adam Zagoria. You still got a little while before you have to board, right? So we're good. I love it on the line.
This play was off a steal, right? Obviously, Caden Boozer feels terrible. He threw it. Silas Demery got the ball.
If I can interject, what is your vantage point on press row? Were you behind the play, kind of to the side? Were you down at the other end? What was your vantage?
I was sitting next to Randolph Childress and Jeff Goodman, right, looking at the UConn basket. We had a terrific view. We were sort of in between.
So this is to your left, and you see the deflection. Go ahead.
Mullins shot it to our left. The basket was to our right. And so just, the whole improbability of how the play went down. Caravan had just made a three before, but he had the presence of mind to give the ball to Mullins. And, the fact that UConn was able to, they looked dead and buried in that game, TJ. They were down by 19. I think they were down 17 in the second half. And, you got to give Dan Hurley and his staff credit for instilling in his team the belief that, hey, hang in here, chip away, chip away. I think the stat was Duke had 8 second half turnovers or something like that, and UConn scored like 16 points off the turnovers. So Duke made a lot of turns, and you feel bad. Your heart goes out to Caden Boozer. If he just held the ball, they would have had to foul him.
Yep.
And that's probably the last organized game he's ever going to play with his brother Cam. Certainly the last college game. But the whole Braylon Mullins thing is crazy. I texted with his high school coach today, who said that when Danny and Luke Murray recruited him, they texted him after he committed, "We're going to take you back to Indianapolis." Braylon is an Indiana kid.
Yep.
So, and they hung a big picture of him up on the Marriott in Indianapolis that he had committed. And here we are, and like that prediction kind of came true.
Amazing how it did. Just pick up one more. So you immediately see, I'm doing this for the audio audience that can't see us. You see left to right the ball go in, and then you, as you said, right in front of the UConn bench, and that bedlam. We've seen the videos of the sideline of the Hurley family. What do you recall about that? You were right there,
Yeah, I
courtside
mean,
in DC.
we were opposite the UConn bench, and there's whatever long the time is, 2 seconds when the ball is in the air, right? I mean, the kid shoots it 35 feet, and there's video of everyone on press row and all the fans reacting, and it's like you're watching this ball through the air, and you're like, oh my God, this looks like it has the trajectory and it's on target, and then it goes through. And the funny thing was Braylon and I talked to Bob Hurley Sr. right after the game on the court. They weren't sure that it was a game winner. They thought maybe it tied the game. Braylon said his reaction was he thought it tied the game. Bob Hurley said the UConn fans around him were like, what happened? Is it tied? There was still, I guess, 0.4 seconds on the clock, but not much can happen at that time. So, and then it's just in seconds, like Danny's doing a headbutt / head nuzzle with Roger Ear.
With the ref, right?
The ref. He said it was more of a nuzzle than a butt. And it's just, you feel it's the whole thrill of victory and agony of defeat right in front of you. You feel bad for the Duke kids. They play great, and it's just March Madness. What can you say?
Yes. And by the way, these have a tendency to even out because Christian Laettner 36 years ago, as you know, almost to the day, beat Connecticut in the East Regional at the old Brendan Byrne Arena, your stomping ground at the Meadowlands, on the give and go and the made shot to win by 1. That crushed Connecticut then with Jim Calhoun and Tate George and all the other guys on that team. And then, of course, very famously, Laettner crushed Rick Pitino and Kentucky's heart with Pelfrey and all of those players when Christian Laettner made the shot in the East Regional Final in Philadelphia. So it's interesting how it evens out. We live long enough, it evens out. I'm curious.
Just one more thing. I talked to Bob. I interviewed Bob Hurley Sr. on the court, and his line was, this was the singularly most incredible moment he's had following college basketball. And this is a guy who's won, I think, 28 state championships in high school and is in the Naismith Hall of Fame. And since he's retired, he's been following his sons, Danny and Bobby, coaching. And he said he couldn't recall a time when those teams won on a buzzer beater.
Yeah. Well, obviously Bobby's part of the teams with Laettner in 90 and 92, but to be there in person, I don't know if he was there in person, maybe he was, still crazy. All right. So that kind of morphs midweek into, it's an advantage that Hurley and his staff have been through this when only Dusty May out of the other 3 coaches has been through this with Florida Atlantic 3 years ago. How big of an advantage, or do you kind of poo-poo that it's not that much of an advantage? What do you say about Hurley and the UConn program here coming back to the Final Four, 3rd time in 4 years?
Yeah, it can only be an advantage, right? Like Danny's knows how to prep his team schedule-wise. Several of the key players have been through this multiple times. Caravan, Solo Ball, Jalen Stewart, all those guys. Everybody really, except the freshman Mullins and Ryba. There's a lot that goes into, when do you get out to Indianapolis? When do you, the practicing, dealing with the tickets for family and friends, just your whole rhythm of that week. And, UConn is now their 3rd Final Four in 4 years. Illinois has got a tremendously big, athletic, talented, European-dominated team. Brad Underwood's a great coach. But, none of these guys have been on the stage of a Final Four before. And, you never know how they're going to react to the bright lights. And you're playing in a stadium where the visuals and the shooting distance are different than in an arena.
Yeah, no doubt. And media obligations. It's not just 1 or 2 people that are trying to get to you and talk to you. Between CBS and Westwood One and pregame stuff that Turner wants to do and CBS wants to do. And on, ESPN, all of us. It's crazy what that is. All All right, so we get ready to descend on Indianapolis. The other game, by the way, Arizona-Michigan. There's a school of thought that the Arizona-Michigan game is the championship game, and that the other one's like the consolation game. Do you? I know you just saw UConn, and you got to kill those guys. You got to drive, as I keep saying, you got to drive the stake through the heart on those guys. Do you poo-poo that whole thing that the Michigan Arizona game is the de facto championship game?
I mean, Jalen Rose, who went to Michigan, said that Tuesday night on the McDonald's All-American broadcast that this is the championship game. I mean, obviously, Michigan and Arizona are the two. I believe they're tied as the two favorites. They're clearly the two most dominant and powerful teams remaining in the tournament. And it is a little weird that they're playing in the semifinal. I think a lot of people in their brackets have one or both of those teams. But that said, whoever wins is still going to have to win another game. And if Connecticut beats Illinois, Connecticut's, again, like we just talked about, has the experience of going for their third title in 4 years. I do think there's a little, historical pressure, like we talked about. A Big Ten team hasn't won since 2000. Pac-12 West Coast team hasn't won since 1997. Yep. Obviously, these kids on these teams, they're not thinking about that. They're not worried about the history, but, these players haven't been there before.
No doubt. Or another one on the coaching carousel. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. North Carolina got rid of Hubert Davis like 8 days ago. That job is still open. Here we sit on Wednesday of Final Four week, and I'm sure there's a lot of people wondering which coach that's in the mix this weekend are they waiting on. The logical guess is Tommy Lloyd. Has Tommy Lloyd told them, wait for me? Has he told them maybe? Are they just hopeful that he might be interested? Are they waiting? I know you tweeted this. Are they waiting for the end of the NBA season with Billy Donovan? But that's after the transfer portal's over, that the NBA season is over. What's your educated guess? You're plugged in. What's North Carolina waiting on at the moment as we head to Final Four weekend?
I mean, a couple of interesting things that, I saw Tommy Lloyd made this comment the other day, something to the effect of, he paid homage to Lute Olson and what a great coach Lute Olson was. And then he said, Arizona's going to have a great coach, after me. Now, presumably he meant in 10 or 15 or years.
Right.
But it certainly raised a lot of eyebrows that he said that. Maybe he's paving the way and setting expectations. All the buzz and everything you hear is that it's, Billy Donovan and Tommy Lloyd are the two favorites and the targets. The betting odds have Billy Donovan as a slight favorite over Tommy Lloyd right now. Now, I tweeted, the timeline is very interesting because we're going to have Saturday, April 4th. Tommy Lloyd's going to coach the Final Four. If he wins, he's going to coach again Monday, and the portal opens Tuesday, and then the NBA season ends the following Saturday, April 12th. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if Arizona loses to Michigan Saturday, Tommy Lloyd's season will be over, and presumably he can talk to his representatives to talk to Carolina Sunday or Monday, whatever. I did, talking to some people at North Carolina there, they know it's going to be a scramble is the word that was used to me about the portal. They do have a general manager in place, former NBA agent, and, they've got guys working on the portal, but, you can't presumably pick and choose players in the portal until you know who
the coach is, right? And in Donovan's case, he's got multiple years still left on his Bulls contract, so he would have to either work out that he's being let out of the deal, or are you firing me or not, or what? I mean, that's still, it's not like he can just simply walk to the next job. I don't know what the language is, but that would be an interesting part of this too.
I spoke to Rick Pitino a week ago or so, and he said that Billy would not leave for any job during the NBA season. And, so maybe they wait whatever it is, a week, 5 days after the portal and just take the hit on the portal. You're going to get Billy Donovan as your coach. Maybe just take the hit on 5 or 6 days.
Well, and certainly just because the portal opened doesn't
Right.
mean, doesn't mean that you can't get
Everyone's
something.
not going to commit. Nobody,
Yeah.
all the top 10 or 20 guys in the portal, not all going to commit.
That's exactly right, especially if they know that North Carolina. And then starts the whole other part of the carousel that if it is Tommy Lloyd and now the Arizona job's open, get ready. Get ready for who jumps to that job and what job do they vacate. And that's why we love Adam Zagoria of NJ.com and the Zags blog to be reporting about all of this. All right, much more on the carousel and the Final Four as the weekend comes. You've got to get on an airplane soon. But you're now going to open a pack of these cards that you just bought at the airport. These are Donruss cards or tops, or what are they? What did you buy?
So real quick, I'm a child of the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
These are the Topps heritage cards.
Okay.
So it's not 2026 players.
Okay.
Current players like Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, and then the key rookie guys like Cam Schlittler of the Yankees, Roman Anthony of the Red Sox, Jacob Mizorowski. So it's the current players, but the cards look like they're from 1970.
They're like from the late 70s vintage Topps
from
baseball
1977.
cards. 77. All right. So you are about to open a pack and show to the video audience. You desperately want like a Judge, don't you? Hold it closer to the camera. Show me what you got.
I have opened some of these.
Hold it up a little higher.
Already at my house.
Hold it up higher towards your head. Then we can see it. And then towards the camera. Go ahead. I'm coaching you through. No, put it towards the camera. There we go. All right. So there's Cole Ragans. All right.
Okay, I'm going to go through a few of these cards.
You're looking for Shohei. You're looking for Judge. What about my guy, Junior Caminero of the Rays?
Bryant. They'll have different colors. There's a green.
Get it closer. Get it closer to the camera. Put it towards your laptop there as I direct you on screen. All right. There's a pretty cool one for the Rockies. All right. That's cool.
Bryant, it's green. Okay. Then we got a Jack Castiglione.
Yes.
Top rookie.
Caglione. That's a Tampa kid, former Florida Gator now with the Royals. Caglione. That's cool. But you're looking in particular, where's my – now there's Sasaki for the Dodgers. You're looking for like, where's my young Yankee star? Where's my Judge?
Yeah. So in these first packs, I got none of those. But yeah, you're definitely looking for the Roman Anthony rookie and stuff like that. And then, then you can send it away to PSA, which grades the cards 1 through 10. And if you get a Roman Anthony PSA 10, then it's worth money and you could sell it on eBay.
So how many packs are within the box or the pack that you bought? You got 3, 6, 8, 10. What did you get?
This is 8. I opened 2 plus 6.
I love this on the video. He's going to be busy the rest of the afternoon, the rest of the night.
And they got these stands like a soda machine at the airport where you can just buy baseball cards.
All right, so you got some cards. And the other thing is, do you have something to preserve them if you get one of the really good cards? Because you're not just going to stick them in that little bag you've got. Come on, you got to have something.
Unfortunately, I did not bring my plastic top.
You got to get something at the airport. Get somebody, put them back in that box.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Listen, we always love you for many different reasons. Travel safe. I will be with you in Indianapolis later in the week. We got the semifinal games on Saturday. We gotta find a pool together, poolside. We've done that for many years.
Absolutely.
The Final Four. Thank you, Adam Zagoria. Safe travels. We'll see you at the Final Four in Indy.
See you, TJ. Thanks, buddy.
How classic is that? My man is opening up some Topps cards before he gets on the flight. Looking for some good ones. You get it all from Adam Zagoria with us. Jason Powers back with me now. Final few minutes.
I got to tell the audience, I feel your pain, my brother. You sent me a note on Sunday night that the Braylon Mullins shot cost the Reeves some tuition money.
Yes. We won't go into all the specific details, but everybody's in different brackets and different pools.
Man.
And I was sitting pretty with a Final Four of Illinois, Duke, Arizona, and Michigan that was looking really, really good until 0.3 seconds were left. And UConn knocks Duke out of the tournament. But that's what this time of the year is all about.
Man.
You think you got it, and then you don't got it. So stay tuned. I think in the bragging rights bracket, by the way, if Arizona wins the tournament in the bragging rights bracket, you win the bragging rights bracket with about 20 of us in there. I think you have Arizona or Michigan to win the whole thing.
I think Arizona.
If Arizona wins it, I think you're the guy on that with the predictions. That's why I have you here. By the way, let's tell you about a sponsor of ours. That's Kalshi, the mobile app and the site. If you're into the predictive markets, Kalshi wants you to get in right now for March Madness or anything else that's going on. In particular, who are the teams that are going to make it to the national title? Project ahead. You got the head-to-head of UConn and Illinois and Arizona and Michigan right now at Kalshi mobile app. You can also look at some other interesting things, like who's the next coach of North Carolina going to be. I think I can get this up on the screen where the folks can see it. This is just a little while ago on Kalshi. I believe you can see that the next head coach at North Carolina predictive market is Billy Donovan, convincingly 52%. If you can't read it, Tommy Lloyd 28%, and then Ben McCullum, the Iowa coach, at about 14%. And Jason, the difference here on Kalshi is this is people like you and me that are voting. It is not a sports book putting out odds. It is people that are actually participating, voting, and then you can trade against, if you think the market is wrong, you can trade against that with Kalshi, but it is just a different component. It's legal in all 50 states. It's outstanding with Kalshi, and we have a promo code as well that is TJ Hoops. Get you $10 to trade at Kalshi. Go check it out at Kalshi.com or the Kalshi mobile app. Download it for free. It's legal in all 50 states. Go check out everything from politics to entertainment. When will the next natural disaster be? We got the Artemis rocket going up tonight. They actually have it pinpointed on the Kalshi predictive markets of when will they orbit the moon, what time of what day coming up. I think it takes them 2 days to get there. I think we're talking about Friday. What time Friday will the orbit begin? It's a market right now on Kalshi. Go check it out. Promo code TJ Hoops gets you $10 off. Kalshi mobile app.
Let me ask you a PR question.
Yeah, please.
Can Tommy Lloyd, if he wins a national championship, can he pull the ripcord and go to Chapel Hill?
That is a very good component to this whole mayhem
versus
of the
losing
coaching
if
carousel.
You were to lose Saturday or Monday.
If you were to lose the game versus, well, I mean, the argument could be made that if you've won the national title, you've done all you can do. We got several arguments that can be made here about the coaching carousel. So the first thing is that I can relate directly to this. So let's go back to when North Carolina had the opening. They had fired Matt Doherty, who was horrific as their coach. So the opening is there in 2003.
Yeah.
As Roy Williams is taking Kansas to the Final Four, and Roy is Dean Smith's former lead assistant, who's trying to get Kansas a national championship, bring them back to the prominence that Larry Brown had gotten them a national championship with Danny Manning. So that whole weekend, is he taking the North Carolina job? They end up winning the semifinal game, Kansas. They get into the championship game with Syracuse. And I still remember being in the lower level of the Superdome with the media when Roy came out onto the floor, and he stood and turned around, and the Kansas crowd in the Superdome had to be 15 or 20,000 in the one end of the wraparound of the Superdome. And he stood and he waved, and he's got tears coming down you knew, I thought, win or lose, he's going to be the North Carolina coach. And he waved to them, he bowed, and he walked over to the sideline to coach the game in about 10 minutes with the starting lineups. So now you fast forward 23 years to this whole situation, and you bring up a great point. If they win Arizona, you're now going for a national title Monday night with the backdrop that your coach might leave and be the North Carolina coach. I boomerang it back to you. What do you think? If they get across the finish line and they've won the whole thing, he can make the argument, I restored you to the national championship here, and I'm going to go take the challenge at North Carolina. Or maybe you believe the other way. I've now restored Arizona to national championship level, and I ain't leaving. Pay me some more money. I'm staying.
No, I think Arizona will pay him. I don't think it'll be a money issue. I think it would be unprecedented. There's never been a scenario when a guy has won a title and then left to go be a coach somewhere else. Little different with Roy Williams because everybody thought he was the heir apparent. He was a North Carolina guy, where Lloyd really doesn't have any Carolina connection. But the narrative is kind of the same with could a guy leave if he wins the title? I still think Again, I don't know what they've heard from Billy Donovan. I mean, obviously people think that he's interested or he wouldn't be 52%. There's
Yep.
going to be some chatter there. Again, can Billy wait 7 more games, 2.5 more weeks? I don't know from a NIL perspective and a transfer portal if that's realistic, but it would be a.
What about what I brought up with Adam? He's got years, plural, left on his deal with the Bulls. How are you rectifying that? Do they let you just walk away? Does he have buyout language where he has to pay his way out? I wonder about that also in this.
I bet I don't know if I read somewhere. I thought I read somewhere that if he takes a college job, he doesn't have a buyout situation,
which is crazy.
That's crazy. Wrong, but I would think the Bulls, in my view, they're in a rebuild. It's not like they're close to winning. I think they would amicably let Billy leave if he really wanted to.
And by the way, championship level coach that won back-to-back titles with the Florida Gators and had him in the Final Four multiple other times, had him in the Elite Eight over and over again, and has done, as a longtime friend of mine used to use the word squadooch, he's done squadooch in the NBA. Hasn't been anywhere close to that. No matter if you love the lifestyle and if you love the professional players, he hasn't had that kind of success.
Exactly.
Are they waiting on Billy Donovan? We're about to find
out. One of
out.
those two. It's got to be one of those two, right?
Well, especially if Arizona loses on Saturday.
Right.
And we get to like Monday and Tuesday and it hasn't heated up that Tommy Lloyd is the coach.
Billy Donovan.
Then they're waiting on Billy Donovan.
Yes.
And by the way, what about door number 3, the third guy that's on that Kalshi list, and that's Ben McCollum, the Iowa coach. Does he get in the mix maybe as the North Carolina coach if Donovan can't agree, Tommy Lloyd doesn't want the job?
Yeah,
and if McCollum doesn't want it, Jason, then what are they doing?
Right. No, that's a great question, man. Again, that is a fantastic question. They will get somebody. Carolina will not get an assistant coach, a guy that we've never heard of, I don't think, to be the coach. I think
you would think it's a proven big name, and it's outside the Carolina family at this point.
I do. I think it's
tuned.
Okay,
we've been here a bit. Anything else on this midweek before we get ready for the Final Four? We'll have you back on when we're in Indianapolis. Again, for the audience, we'll be there live on Friday through Monday, 2 Eastern time, live from Indianapolis on these platforms: YouTube, Twitter, X, Facebook, the pod, the TuneIn audio channel, College Basketball Coast to Coast. Will be with you through the weekend from the Circle City. You'll be back on with us. Anything else here, though, midweek?
Give us a quick preview of practice day. Friday, always that Friday practice day where all 4 teams get to practice for like an hour at Lucas Oil. I know
that's correct.
Before.
Open to the public. There'll be several thousand people that'll come in there, especially with all the Illinois fans that are proximity close.
Do you think? Do you, again, a couple things from just a quick point from last Sunday. At some point, doesn't somebody have to do something to Danny Hurley with all these antics on the sidelines, whether they were perceived in jest with the whatever, however you wanted that collision between him and Roger Ayers? At some point,
are you suggesting UConn's not going to do anything to him? The Big East doesn't run the tournament. Are you suggesting the NCAA would do something to him at this point?
They're not. No, but I'm saying at some point down the road, he is going to cost his team at some point in his career in a huge moment. He's going to cost his team, and an official has to have the onions, as Mr. Rafter would say, to put him in his place, because that stuff just can't keep continuing. I know that was a more benign Sunday with what he did, but just in general, he's going to get his team in trouble.
What was fascinating in that dynamic to watch, we didn't talk a lot about it Sunday, but we're bringing it up here, is as that comeback was going on, he was behaved like he was a student in the old Catholic school with the nun with the ruler coming around. I mean, he wasn't barking at officials. He was coaching and coaching only, wasn't saying anything. The antics, the histrionics with the arms and flailing and F-bombing the refs, none of that was going on when the game mattered. Isn't that fascinating? The preschool behavior went away.
Right.
We'll see. And obviously this grows as they continue to succeed. If they win on Saturday, he's even more out of control. Obviously for Monday night, he's bulletproof at that point, coaching in the game Monday night. And I think there is some validity to having been there and having won the whole thing, and you understand all the demands. Dusty May's the only other one of the 4 that's been there. You understand the demands, like we were talking about real quick one more time, Jason, on your time, the media obligations. These guys, these teams, they will go practice at different locations besides Lucas Oil Stadium. You got to line that up. When are we practicing? When are we doing walkthrough stuff in the ballroom? When are we watching film? What kind of food are we eating?
Are they getting there Thursday? Is everybody
Yes,
getting
they're
there
getting
Thursday?
there. They're getting there largely tonight and tomorrow morning, depending. Okay. And so, how do we keep the donors, the alumni, all the hangers-on away from the team in this circus? Hurley and his crew have been through that before. They've been through it twice to win championships before. So that's an advantage. It is interesting that Luke Murray has got a different variable, that he's now the Boston College coach. Right. He is going to coach in this weekend. Danny Hurley was adamant he wants him there to help with the offense and the game planning. Yep. So that's another dynamic. But UConn is at an advantage. Period. They've been through it all before.
Do all the teams stay at the same hotel, or do they stay at 4 separate hotels?
No. They're in different hotels, and most of them are out in the outskirts, in the suburbs away. Gotcha. And then they will bus in to come be at the practices. Again, some of them, I still remember in numerous cases at the Final Four, they will be at a high school or a junior college sequestered practicing on Thursday and or on Friday to go get work in and be away from everything. And you got to line that up. That's something else that you got to be.
They might be at the facility, the center we were at for the Horizon League. Somebody might be there.
Could be out at the arena. What's the Cortiva Coliseum out at the fairgrounds? They could be out there. Obviously, you have the Indiana Pacers practice facility, and I don't even know if the Pacers are there this weekend. Yeah. I haven't double checked and looked, but I mean, I'm serious that they will go to a high school. They'll go to a junior college just to get work on the floor, away from everything and all the attention, and then worry about those baskets and those sight lines when you have those practices. Again, it is cavernous in a football stadium to get used to, but some of these UConn guys are used to it already because they participated in it. So stay tuned. All right, Jason, great stuff. Love it. Let's reconvene this weekend. Again, our colleagues Ari Russell, Tyler Jones with me, among others. Deshaun Tate, etc., from Indianapolis will be live starting Friday at 2 Eastern time, live every day for an hour or so, 2 Eastern time, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with a Final Four recap and a national championship preview, more of a preview Monday at 2 Eastern time. So find us on the social platforms, find us as well on podcasts and the TuneIn College Basketball Coast to Coast channel. My friend, we're almost there. We're almost to the end of the week here, and the chance to talk about the Final Four a couple of more times and then play the games. Jason, great stuff midweek. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Safe travels on the plane. Get a good seat. TSA.
Yes, we love all of that. No baseball cards for me like Adam. I will not be sorting baseball cards on the plane. We thank you for being with us. We thank Adam Zagoria for being with us. Much more to come later in the week from the Final Four on College Basketball Coast to Coast.